Causes of the War of 1812. United States and Great Britain engaged in war in 1812, hence named the War of 1812. This war lasted for 3 years, that is, from 1812 to 1815. It resulted from the cropping anger of the Americans over trade issues, impressments of American sailors, and British aid of the Indian attacks on the front line against the Native Americans. Although some of the Americans thought of 1812 war as a second war of independence, during this war, neither the British nor the Americans gained any decisive advantage. The 1812 war took place during the reign of President Madison. He had declared war against the British after collision of the Americans with the British. The conflict between the Americans and the British had resulted from the British support of the Indians, Americans' enemies. The Indians had inputted much effort in doing away with the American administration. For instance, they fought the American troops, leading to the reduction of the Americans' power. In addition, the Indians offered protection to the British that resided in North America. This close association between the British and the Indians catalyzed American anger, hence the outbreak of 1812 war. Course of war. 1812 war had its spark from a group of young politicians in the House of Representatives in America known as War Hawks, led by Henry Clay and John Calhoun. The War Hawks had diverse reasons as to why they demanded for the declaration of war against the British, and some of the reasons included the British violation of international laws that opposed disruption of marketing practices, the disrespect showed by the British, and the Kidnapping Act of the British. For instance, the British violated international laws opposing disruption of marketing places by seizing American ships that transported goods for trade. The Americans considered the act of seizing American ships at their territory by the British as a show of disrespect. They therefore considered war as a solution, hence the War of 1812. The British act of kidnapping innocent American sailors was also one of the causes of the 1812 war. The British captured and enslaved American sailors, hence contributing to the rise of War Hawks' anger. The Chesapeake Affair of 1807 was also a contributing factor to the War of 1812. In 1807, the British soldiers managed to get aboard of American ship and killed innocent Americans that they caught, an act that left Americans burning with anger. The Neutrality Act of Americans also contributed to the outbreak of the 1812 war. The Americans had the habit of carrying out their trading activity without showing interest or concern of the war that was taking place between the French and the British. The Neutrality Act portrayed by the Americans made the British take advantage of them. The Americans started mistreating them by seizing their ships and capturing innocent American sailors. The succession of the British in the 1805 war against the French worsened the relationship between the British and the Americans. It led to the declination of the American participation in the trading activities across the seas. Although the Treaty of Ghent, signed in December 1814, did not touch on any issues concerning the causes of the 1812 war, it contributed immensely towards the end of the 1812 war. The American and the British representatives had met at Ghent in Belgium with the intention of signing a peaceful treaty. According to the signed treaty, all conquered states were to be returned. Effects of the War of 1812. The treaty also paved way for the planning of commissions that solved boundary issues that existed between America and Canada. Via the signed treaty, the Americans were also able to restore their war lands and ships that had been captured by the British. In addition, the treaty contributed to the British promising to return the slaves it had captured. Success of 1812 is based on the efforts of Andrew Jackson. In 1815, Andrew Jackson together with his poorly trained troops managed to win the Battle of New Orleans. The war had taken place between British and the Americans, who had not gotten the news of the signed treaty. Andrew Jackson with his outnumbered American army had managed to defeat the well-trained and equipped British soldiers in the war that lasted for 3 years. The Battle of New Orleans had depicted the nationalism of the American volunteers, hence signifying the importance of Andrew Jackson. Conclusion. In conclusion, the 1812 war was as a result of conflicts between the British and the Americans. It had resulted from the British overlooking the American neutrality. The 1812 war lasted for 3 years. In addition to the war contributing the drop of the American trading activity, it also led to the loss of many lives. The British together with the Indians fought the Americans, leading to the reduction of American powers. However, the efforts of the War Hawks together with Andrew Jackson's effort contributed immensely to the success of the American troops against the British. Study Corgi can help you make your studies smarter. Visit studycorgi.com for more samples like this, study tips, and writing tools.